Hi, and welcome to Deborah Smith Music Video Tutorials. I'm Deborah. This lesson will teach you the rhythmic shorthand process for doing simple-time rhythmic dictations or transcriptions. The first step in understanding how to do rhythmic dictations is to first understand and have a very good sense of the beat. After all, the definition of rhythm is the pattern of longer and shorter sounds heard over the beat. The rhythmic shorthand taught in this video is a system of quickly notating how many sounds are heard on each beat. Writing a rhythm set before you hear the dictation for the first time prepares you to recognize the rhythms you will hear and may help when you write the notes of the rhythm onto the staff. As this is a very early rhythmic transcription exercise, the rhythm set would only include the rhythms learned in section 1 of your book so far. In fact, this transcription will only include these rhythms. Therefore, this is your rhythm set. In this dictation exercise, a stroke is written for each beat. You will normally need to write these strokes for any other dictations you complete. The time signature, 2 meter, shows that there are 2 beats per bar, so 2 beat strokes have been written above each bar. Notice the way they are spaced to show equal beats in each bar. The third step is to listen to the rhythm given and simply point to the beat strokes. Here it is for the first time. 1, 2. As you continue listening and pointing, make a mark on each beat stroke where you hear sounds. For example, if you hear one sound on the first beat, write 1 diagonal line on the first beat stroke. If you hear 2 sounds on the second beat, write 2 diagonal lines on the second beat stroke. If you hear nothing on the third beat, leave the third beat stroke empty. This shows that there is a rest, or a tie, or a long note. Listen to the rhythm for a second time. Continue pointing to the beat and make marks where you hear sounds on each beat. 1, 2. Here is the rhythm for a third time. As you continue listening to the playing, finish your rhythmic shorthand while pointing to the beat. 1, 2. Hopefully, your rhythmic shorthand looks something like this. Translate your shorthand onto the staff using notes before the final playing. Refer to your rhythm set if required. Do not leave this until the final playing in future dictations. If possible, begin translating your shorthand onto the staff whenever you have a spare moment during the playings. Where you heard one sound on a beat, write a crotchet, like this. Where you heard 2 equal sounds on a beat, write a pair of quavers, like this. And where you heard no sound on a beat, write a crotchet rest. Finally, check that you have the correct number of beats in each bar. Use the final playing to check your rhythm by saying it out loud in rhythm names as you listen. 1, 2, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, 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 ta. The process remains the same, regardless of which rhythms are included in the dictation. For more information and resources, see dsmusic.com.au. Hi, and welcome to Deborah Smith Music Video Tutorials. Level 3, Section 1, Simple Time Rhythmic Transcriptions. Before attempting a rhythmic transcription, it will help to write a rhythm set. The rhythm set includes all the rhythms you will hear in a transcription exercise. As this particular transcription is a very early one, it will only include crotchets and quavers. Therefore, your rhythm set will look like this. Above each bar in this rhythmic transcription, a stroke has been written for each beat. You need to write these strokes for other transcriptions you complete. This is step 2. During the first playing, listen to the rhythm given as you point to these beat strokes. Focus on whether you hear one sound on each beat or two sounds on each beat. 1, 2, 1, 2. As you continue listening and pointing, make a mark on each beat stroke where you hear sounds. For example, if you hear two sounds on the first beat of the second bar, then you will write 2 diagonal lines on that beat stroke. If on the second beat of the second bar you hear one sound, you would write 1 line on that beat stroke. As you continue listening to the repeated playings, finish the rhythmic shorthand. 1, 2, 1, 2. One, 2, 1, 2. Translate your shorthand onto the staff using notes before the final playing. Refer to your rhythm set. Where you have written 2 sounds on a beat, you will write quavers. Where you have written 1 sound on a beat, you will write a crotchet. Do not leave this step until the final playing. If possible, begin translating your shorthand onto the staff whenever you have a moment during the playings. 1, 2, 1, 2. Before the final playing, also check you have the correct number of beats written in each bar. Use the final playing to check your rhythm by saying it in your head in rhythm names as you listen. 1, 2, 1, 2. As with all types of transcription exercises, perform the rhythm you have just transcribed by conducting the beat as you say the rhythm names. 1, 2, 1, 2. Ti ti ta, ti ti ta, ta, ti 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 ta. This process remains the same regardless of which rhythms are included. For more information and resources, visit dsmusic.com.au. Hi, and welcome to Deborah Smith Music Video Tutorials. Level 3, Section 1, Melodic Transcription. A melodic transcription is a dictation exercise where a melody, with or without accompanying parts, is played several times so that it may be notated in solfa or on the staff. As this is an early transcription exercise, you are told that the melody you are to write will only use these notes. The set or group of notes used in a melody is called a tone set. Writing a tone set before you hear the melody for the first time prepares you to recognize the notes you will hear and may help when you write the notes of the melody onto the staff. In future transcription exercises, you will need to determine the key, for example, C major, of the given parts, and write out that scale in the same way as these notes have been written. Study the transcription exercise given here. Beat strokes have been written for your rhythmic shorthand. In future exercises, you may need to write your own if you need to notate the rhythm. Note that the solfa and staff note for the first note are given here. The first time you hear the melody, try to complete the rhythmic shorthand and, if possible, the solfa of the last few notes. These may remain in your memory after they've been played. Here it is for the first time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully, this is your rhythmic shorthand you've written down. And these are the last two notes of the dictation in solfa. Use the next 3 repeats of the melody to write the solfa you hear under your rhythmic shorthand. Here it is for a second time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it is for a third time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it is for a fourth time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully, this is the solfa you have written beneath your rhythm shorthand. Before the final playing, write the notes of this melody onto the staff. Refer to your tone set if required. Do not leave this until the final playing. If possible, begin translating your solfa onto the staff whenever you have a spare moment during the playings. Use the final playing to check your completed melody. Check you have the correct number of beats in each bar and that your solfa matches the notes you've written on the staff. One, 2, 3, 4. As with all completed and corrected transcriptions, after you have corrected your melody, sing it through in solfa with hand signs, in rhythm names, and in letter names. The process for melodic transcription exercises remains the same regardless of how complex the melody to be transcribed is. For more information and resources, visit dsmusic.com.au. Hi, and welcome to Deborah Smith Music Video Tutorials, Level 3, Section 3, Melodic Transcription. The first step in a two-part melodic transcription is the same as in a single-line melodic transcription. Determine the key of the transcription exercise by studying the key signature and the last note of the bass part, or the lowest melodic part. As you can see, there is one sharp, F sharp, in the key signature, and the bass part ends on a G. Therefore, this exercise is in the key of G major. To create a key that you can refer to as you proceed with this transcription exercise, write out the G major scale with the solfa and letter names written underneath, like this. Sing this scale through in solfa and in letter names. This will prepare you for the tonality you're about to hear and the notes that will be included in the transcription exercise. Re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. G, A, B, C, D, E, Fis, G, Fis, E, D, C, B, A, G. Another step you can undertake before you hear the transcription exercise for the first time is to write the solfa beneath the rhythm given for any notes that have been given on the staff. The first time you listen, point to the rhythm and simply listen. The sorts of things you're listening for are common spellings, things that you recognize. In a melodic transcription in a major key, you would expect to hear parts of the major scale, perhaps parts of the major triad, the tonic triad notes, do, mi, and so. You might also recognize where you hear the tonic come back in the melody, or perhaps you might recognize the dominant notes, or even the leading notes. Here it is for the first time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perhaps you recognized these two notes at the end of the third bar. You may have recognized these two notes as the tonic, do, do. Write the solfa of those two notes beneath the rhythm in the correct place. Perhaps you recognized the last note of the second bar as the dominant, or so. Write this beneath that note. Did you also hear part of the tonic triad before it? The two notes before the dotted crotchet sounded like this. Lo, lo, lo. We know the last note is so. Therefore, the first of those two notes is also so. If we sing the tonic triad, we will get so, mi, do. Therefore, those two notes preceding the dotted crotchet are so, mi, so. you now only have one note in that bar to work out. And hopefully you heard some of the major scale in the third bar. As you go, you could use the key that you have written, the scale of G major, to begin writing the notes onto the staff. This is an important step to complete during the transcription. Do not leave it until the last playing to do so. During the final listening, concentrate on inner hearing the solfa or the letter names of the notes you have written. Be sure to check that you have translated your solfa onto the staff correctly. Here it is for a final time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The process remains the same, regardless how complex the melody to be transcribed is. As your knowledge of harmony improves, it will help to study the bass part of multi-part dictations from a harmonic perspective. For more information and resources, visit dsmusic.com.au. Hi, and welcome to Deborah Smith Music Video Tutorials, Level 3, Section 3, Chord Progressions. A chord progression using only the primary triads will be played several times. It can be helpful to create a key or a chart showing the chords we might expect to hear in this chord progression transcription question. This chart shows the chords built on the 1st, 4th and 5th scale degrees, or the primary triads. Notice in the top line we put the solfa of the bass notes. In the second line we put the letter names of the bass notes, and in the bottom line we write the quality of the chords you'll hear. We know this progression is in C major because the first chord which is given to us is the C major triad. This tells us that all the chords that follow will belong to C major. Listen to the chord progression for the first time, focusing on the bass line. You could use the instructions from the earlier video, Hearing and Singing Bass Lines, to help with this. Here it is for a first time. Did you notice anything about the chords you heard? Did you notice that the bass note of the 4th chord was not the tonic? In other words, it did not sound finished. Did you notice anything about the 2nd chord? Perhaps you noticed that the 3rd chord bass note was the same as the 1st chord. In other words, the bass note of the 3rd chord was Do. Listen again and see what you can discover about the 2nd or 4th chords. Did you hear the bass note go up from the 1st to the 2nd chord? Did you hear it go up a moderate skip or a moderate leap? It went up to Fa. Listen once more and work out what the final chord is if you've not done so already. Hopefully, you heard that it went to so at the end. This is chord 5 and leaves us wanting more. During the final playing, sing the bass notes as you listen. Something to remember. The quality of a chord on a particular scale degree will always be the same. For example, the chord built on Do in a major scale will always be major. The same goes for the chord built on Fa and the chord built on So. In a major key, these will always be major. For more information and resources, visit dsmusic.com.au.